What is going on, guys? My name is AK back again with another YouTube video. Now, we've got a bit of a different style of videos today. You guys that follow my channel know that I normally make competitive Call of Duty videos, but today I thought what I'd do is I'd show you how to make thumbnails for your YouTube videos for free, because I always preach that if you want to get known in whatever you're doing, you have to make content around it. So whether that's YouTube, streaming, that kind of thing. And I know a lot of people that want to get into YouTube struggle with thumbnails, because it's something that if you don't have a lot of money to get an editor to like make nice thumbnails for you, you're going to kind of struggle, because after all, the thumbnail is what incentivizes people to click on your video, of course, and the title and the content of the video, but the thumbnail plays a very big role. So making sure that you've got ones that can stand out from other people is quite important. So I thought what I'd do is I'd show you how I make my thumbnails. I don't use Photoshop, I don't use any paid software, I do them all on PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you exactly how I make them. Now, don't get me wrong, these aren't super professional, amazing thumbnails, but if you're looking just to get started on something that looks pretty good, then definitely this is the video for you. So let's get straight into it. So here we are on PowerPoint. This is my folder with all of my YouTube thumbnails. If I put it out in the wider view, you can see literally all of my YouTube thumbnails, as well as a few other bits, just like descriptions and stuff. I put in this folder, literally everything in here, and so this is where I build all of my thumbnails. A lot of people don't believe me when I say I do it in PowerPoint, but I'm quite good at PowerPoint, and I've sort of learned the things that I can, the sort of the limitations of PowerPoint, the things that you can do in it. So what I thought I'd do is go through all of the things that I think are important in building a thumbnail, sort of the stuff you're going to want to think about, the stuff you're going to want to include, and then what we'll do at the end of the video is we will imagine a video idea, and then I'll build a thumbnail around that, just to sort of show you the steps and how I do it. So step number one when building a thumbnail is you're going to want to have an idea in your mind of what you want to actually include in the thumbnail, because say for instance this video here was about my predictions for the Call of Duty League Championships and who I thought was going to win. So I sort of had this idea that I would have silhouettes of all of the players on the team that I think are going to win. This team here is Toronto Ultra, the purple one. All of these players are Toronto Ultra players. I did later decide that I'd add different team logos on, but my initial idea was to have silhouettes of the players and then maybe the Call of Duty League Championship weekend sort of banner above. And then from that, I then added some other team logos on, and then sort of had it so that the colours blended corresponding to the colour of the organisation logo underneath it. And that's pretty much the basis of this, and then I threw a Call of Duty League themed picture in the background and just sort of blurred that out in the background. So it all starts with a good idea, and with that idea you can then sort of build on and improve the thumbnail. Now, the idea doesn't even have to be anything massive. For instance, in this video, all I thought I'd do is I'd combine the Black Ops 2 logo into the word scrim. That was just the one little idea I had for this video, because it was a remastered Black Ops 2 map that we were playing, our first sort of practice match on that map. So I thought I'd use that idea and then sort of built the rest of the thumbnail around that one little idea. So make sure that you get that idea straight away, and with that one little idea in mind, you can then build off and make things around the rest of the thumbnail. So next thing I want to talk about is fonts, because that is very important in YouTube thumbnails. You want clear fonts, things that are very easy to see, and also when they're enlarged are very easy to read. Because of course, if you're looking on a phone even, the thumbnails are very small, so there needs to be something clear. Ideally, you want as little text as possible. You don't want a whole description about the video in the thumbnail. Literally as few words as possible. I'd recommend no more than maybe 4 or 5 words if possible. It's something that I'm working on now, sort of making my thumbnails more and more concise. If you look at some of my older ones, there's maybe a little bit more writing on there, but now I'm trying to cut that down to as few words as possible. Now, there's loads of fonts you can download on a whole load of free font websites. I'm sure you guys can find them online, but one of the ones that I like here is Longhall. This is the capital version of that. I think that looks really clean. That's very easy to see. I've also got this font here, Bangers. I use this all the time. It's one of my really common ones, and with PowerPoint you can do a lot of text effects with them in terms of changing the colors, changing the outlines. There's actually quite a lot you can do that people don't realize. And then of course, like the one I used in this one, I think this is Impact. Oh no, this is actually a Call of Duty font. This is like the Call of Duty official font that I found online somewhere, but I did mention Impact. That's a very solid font as well that just comes staple with almost every PC. So just focus on finding nice simple fonts that are easy to see, and when you make them big are still very clear. So the next important part is colouring. Now, I like to generally stick to 1 or 2 colour themes for the video. So for this little sample thumbnail that I made that might be used in this video, I'm not too sure yet, I sort of I had the original picture. Let me just zoom out a little bit because I made a little cover to go over the top. Let me see if I can just move this around a little bit for you to see a little bit easier. So what I did was take just a random picture online. I literally searched in gaming and found one of the first pictures that I could find. And that is what the background here looks like. So it was sort of the blues and the pink sort of colours. And then what I did is I made another layer that just has sort of pink corners, just to sort of layer that on top. And that just sort of gives a bit more focus on the central region of the thumbnail. Because of course you want to try and make the focus as central as possible. So just little things like that sort of increase the colours on the videos are going to help quite a lot as well. Again, I'm going to show you how to do all of these effects when we build the sort of the fake thumbnail at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So next thing I want to talk about is actually where to put the text, because one thing that I see a lot of people doing that I really think isn't the best idea is actually obstructing the background picture that you use with the text that you put on. So I'm just going to move my my webcam just a bit so you can see this a little bit better. But so in this picture we have Scump here, professional Call of Duty player. If you don't play Call of Duty, don't really bother about the content. Just focus on sort of the principle behind it. So this is actually a cutout from the original picture that I blurred in the background. Cut out this player, which again you can either do on PowerPoint. Actually, they have a remove background tool. So if it's something easy, like what you'd be able to magic wand on PowerPoint, if you know how to do that, you can use the remove background tool. If not, there's actually another software called GIMP, GNU Image Manipulation Program. You can get it online. It's free as well. So for more complex cutting out pictures, if you want to do that for your thumbnail, you can do it on there, again, at no cost. But as I was saying, you don't actually want your text to obstruct the pictures. You want this to be nice and clear. So I decided to highlight this guy or Scump with the glows. You can use these outer glows to, again, make someone stand out a little bit more. I used the blue glow just to sort of blend it in with the colors of the background, and then added the same blue glow to the text and the boxes that I actually put the text in. But I made sure to put the text on the other side of the picture over some of the other players so that the Scump, this player here, is highlighted, and that just sort of brings the focus on the player and the text as opposed to them kind of blending together into something that doesn't really look very good. And also, I will just mention putting text in boxes if the background is quite complex is a nice way to actually make the text a lot more readable. Because if I was to get rid of these boxes, which I'll quickly show you what that would look like now, if it's going to let me do that. The text becomes quite a bit harder to read because there's white in the background, white in the text, and then the contrast isn't very much there, so it's quite hard to see. But if we throw the black boxes on the back there again, makes it a lot easier to see. So that's definitely something you want to try. Now, this one I say is, especially if you're doing gaming videos, this one works quite well, and that is add little effects to your thumbnail. So, for instance, one thing that I always like to use is these speed line things. I don't know where I found them. I think there's just a picture online, a PNG, and you throw them on your video, and instantly they add sort of another little layer. It's all about the layers, adding lots of layers to the thing. And because they're sort of coming in from the outside, they don't obstruct the main thing that you're focusing on in the thumbnail, and you can layer them behind the text, behind the images, but they just add another little effect, which I'll quickly delete them and just sort of show you. Without them, it still looks pretty good, but with them, if we just Control-Z that and bring them back, it looks a lot better, and yeah, it just adds more focus on the center of the thumbnail because that's where sort of all the lines are pointing and converging towards. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually using gradients. It's something that I use all the time. So for instance, on this one, I decided to use these orange to sort of no color gradients, and you can do them really easily on PowerPoint if I just sort of show you the shape fill and go to the gradient section. So the best way I found to use these is to start from a fairly high transparency on the actual color that you like. We go all the way to 0, just makes it a little bit sort of more orange. I tend to put them on just a little bit, maybe somewhere between 10 and 20, just so that you can still sort of see through them. And then all the way to black is what I normally do to keep the main color as crisp. You can do that as white as well, and then we'll put that to 100% capacity. That makes it a little bit brighter, but if you put it to black, that keeps the main color sort of fairly consistent. But this way you can add colour to certain parts of it and take away colour from other certain parts of it. Again, I really would recommend if you're looking to get into building thumbnails on PowerPoint, just sit down and just have a little play around, see all the effects that you can do, because surprisingly it can actually do quite a lot. And the last thing I want to jump into before we actually start making a thumbnail is talking about how you can use shadows and outer glows to make text and images actually really stand out on the thumbnail. So this is a thumbnail from a video I made a little while ago on Splitgate, and I decided to take a copy of it and take away all of the outer glows, and I'll show you what that looks like now. So can you see the difference between the two thumbnails? One, the text is kind of hard to read, the images kind of all blend together, whereas one with the outlines, everything just seems so much clearer and so much more set out where it's meant to be on the page. Now this works both ways. If you've got something that's quite light, you want to add a dark outline to it. That way it will sort of stand out from the background. And alternatively, if you've got actually something quite dark, for instance, these player silhouettes, you'll add a sort of a light coloured outline to it, either just in plain white, or if you have one set colour scheme, like with the scrub here, you add sort of one that fits the colour scheme of the actual thumbnail you're making. I'll get into exactly how to do all of these effects when we actually make the thumbnail. Maybe it won't be the best thumbnail just because I'm trying to show you all of the effects, but I think we'll make one that looks quite nice. But just quickly, if you do want to add them, that's in the picture effects tab up the top on this version of PowerPoint. I'm sure it will be in a similar position on whatever version of PowerPoint you're using. And then you go to the glow. You can either go to more glow colors and choose from there, or if the one that you want is just already here, you can pick it from there as well. With that said and done, let's jump into making a fake thumbnail, and I'll show you how all of the effects are achieved and how you can do it yourself. So the video I've decided we're going to make is why the Krig is so overpowered in Warzone. Now, very generic video that someone like me or any other gaming YouTuber might want to make. You know, quite a generic video, but I think we can make something quite nice with the thumbnail for this. So the first thing I'd normally do is think about a background. What sort of background do we want for the video? Now, it doesn't have to be anything too dramatic. Preferably, we don't really want any text with it. Something simple, like, say, for instance, this picture here. This is quite a nice picture. You also want to check the numbers in the corner. This is a 4K picture, nice high resolution. You want at least sort of 1920 by 1080. So you know that you're working with a good quality picture that when you scale it up is actually going to look quite nice in your thumbnail. So we've pasted that here into PowerPoint, and then we're just going to sort of shrink it down to the size of the thing. Let's send that to the back just so we can see the text on the top. Now, ideally, sort of my main idea was that we have a somewhat Warzone themed background, and I actually already have cutouts of the Krig as a weapon because it's the main gun used in competitive play in Cold War. So I thought I'd already used that. It is good. It's very good in Warzone as well. But I thought this way I can recycle the sort of cutout for the gun. Now, if you don't have the cutouts that you need to make your YouTube video, there's two ways you can do it. The first one is by going into the game and actually making the cutout yourself. So, you know, doing a print screen and then going out and cutting it out yourself. The second one is to just search for what you're looking for with PNG. And that way this will give you anything with like easily removable backgrounds or things that maybe you can cut out from there. So say, for instance, we want a kilo class. Maybe not this, maybe this photo isn't the best. But if you have someone of a picture of someone holding the gun, you can then cut out the gun from that. So that's how I like to do it. Now I should note I'm making this based on Call of Duty Warzone, that sort of thing, but this honestly can work for anything. So currently this gun doesn't really stand out from the background. It's kind of hard to see that it's actually even there. So what we're going to do is we're going to first blur the background, and you do that by coming to here, Artistic Effects, and then blurring the background on that little one there. Now, the initial blur that it gives you isn't actually very strong, so what you can do is you can go to Artistic Effects and then press the Artistic Effects options, and that will open this side panel for you, and from there you can adjust the radius of the blur, and this just increases the amount that it blurs. Say we take it all the way up to the top. Can take a while, the blurring is quite sort of intensive on the thing. Let's see, that really blurs it. Maybe we don't want it quite that blurred, so if we drop it down and say maybe around, let's try 16 and see how that looks. So I think that's looking quite good. It's blurred enough that it's not distracting from what's in the front, but it still is visible and you can make out what's in the background. Okay, from there we're going to scale up the size of this because, again, the main focus of the video is on the Krig. So I think we're going to try and hide that Warzone logo in the bottom corner there, if you guys can see that. And so I just do that by sliding that over the top there. And in order to make this stand out, we're going to add a black glow to it. So something like that will make it stand out just a little bit more from the background. And then you can go and adjust some of the options in the glow options here. But I think that looks quite nice. If you guys do want to sort of change the way it looks, you know, you can always rotate things. Make sure, of course, that they're scaled up so that they're no longer actually sort of visible on the the outside. You don't want anything sort of like leaking over there, so you can see underneath it. That doesn't look too good. But if you scale it correctly, let's just do a little bit of messing with this. So something like this will look quite nice. I'll throw it into full screen mode just so that you guys can see how that looks. So that looks quite nice. As you can see, the gun isn't obstructing anything else, but looks quite nice there. So from here, I want to talk about the color scheme. So the main color scheme I think we're going to have to go for is the purple here from this dark matter. It does kind of clash with the red from that, but we can work that out by doing a little trick I like to do. So you throw one of them over the top, send that backwards so that the gun is on top, and then we're going to go into the gradients and have a little mess around. So it's also gone to the orange-black gradient that I was using on the scrim one there. But we're going to change this. I think we're going to go for a radial one, and then we're going to set it to like from a center. We're going to swap this around. We want our main color to actually be on the outside and drag that in a little bit, something like that. And then, of course, we want to change this to purple. You can either eyedropper it and sort of grab it from the gun itself. That's one way of doing it. Or if you'd rather a more specific purple, you can sort of click that. Now, I think that looks quite nice like that. I am just going to up the opacity on the purple a bit, just so it sort of fades out just a little bit more. But I think with this kind of numbs down the sort of the bright red from that and allows you to focus on the purple of the gun a little bit more. Now, as I mentioned, having lines coming in from the side of the screen always adds to the focus of whatever's in the center. So as you can see, we've got the gun in the center here. We are going to again send these back behind the actual image, but in front of the color, because if you send them behind the color, then they become a little bit harder to see and maybe aren't the best. They're kind of hard to see there. So if we bring them forward again, then they will look quite nice. So by all means, now you can have a little play around with some of the other settings. Shadows I sometimes like to add, just for a little bit more definition on the outlines of the guns. That can look quite nice. If you're going for one set color scheme, you know, maybe you could change the glow to purple to see how that looks. I think we're going to keep it with black. You know, we want that sort of that definition that having a black outline actually gives. Now, what I was saying about text earlier is you don't want very long text. So why the Krig is so overpowered in Warzone, that's a very long title. So instead, we're going to shorten this down to something maybe a little bit more easily readable. So I've decided to bring it down to "This gun is insane." Of course, if you're having text in the title of your video that maybe says why the Krig is so overpowered, you don't necessarily have to state in the thumbnail as well why the Krig is so overpowered. You can, as long as it's to the same effect, you don't actually have to copy the text that you're using in your title in your thumbnail. So that is something that you can consider doing as well. Now from here, it's time to look through your fonts to decide what font you actually want to use on the gun. As I said, I like the Bangers font. It's quite cartoony, but does look quite nice. Of course, any of the bold fonts look quite nice, just simple ones that are downloaded. As I said, I've got the Call of Duty font, although some fonts, as you can see, this actually removes the exclamation mark. That isn't included in the typeset for this font, so do be aware of that if you're downloading fonts that maybe don't have all of the characters. I said Impact is a very good one, very nice and clear font, but I think we're going to use Long Haul, that sort of slanted font that I showed you in the sort of thumbnail tutorial one that I did here. So as the text is going to be sort of the primary focus of the thumbnail, we're going to bring this right to the front, and then we're going to layer that just sort of on top a little bit like that. You can use the arrow keys to adjust where you think it should fit. So that looks quite good, but the colour, of course, doesn't really work. The black and the background, it's very hard to see, and that does clash quite a lot. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to make the text white to make it very nice and bright, very visible. And then we're going to add a black outline. Again, makes it nice and easy to see. And then, as I said, if you're using a light thing, you'll want to add a dark outline. And again, that makes it pop just a little bit more and a little bit more visible. Now, the background isn't the darkest of all backgrounds you might be able to choose, so there is a little bit of a clash between the white text and the background. So, as I said, a good thing to do actually is to add a little box around that text. You can do a box and type in, but some of the slanted fonts maybe don't always fit the best in the boxes, so I'd always recommend doing the box and the text separately. We send that backwards, make sure that's sort of center aligned. And then we will make this black, and with the black fill on the box, that actually makes the text inside the box a lot easier to see. We'll just we'll make this a little bit smaller just so that it fits in the box nice and tight and sort of has an equal spacing either side, and I think something like that looks good. But we're going to add some effects to the box to make that stand out a little bit more. So we come to the shape effects here, and we're going to use the glow and add maybe a white glow. White glow looks quite nice with a black outline and maybe the white text. You get sort of that consistent theme of the white and the black. You can add a black glow. Again, makes it pop out a little bit. I think that looks quite nice. And maybe if we pair this with actually a white outline of the box itself, that could look quite nice. Or maybe we go all black. Do we go all black? I think all black looks quite nice. So I decided to make the box a little bit smaller just so that you can see it either side. If it's pushed up too close, that can look a little bit weird. Unless, of course, you're sort of going for the banner look where it would go across the whole of the top. Again, as you put it into full screen mode, that'll actually crop that out. And you'll only see sort of how the banner looks at the top there. But that does actually look quite nice. But yeah, I think if we're going for that look, we'll sort of keep it so that it's all in the same, or sort of it's visible and you can see either side of the edges. Now, the next thing to do, as every YouTube thumbnail loves to do, is add in arrows. Arrows always make things very clear, point the viewer's eye in the direction of whatever they're meant to be looking at. So, for instance, we can add this arrow in here. This gun is insane, you know, pointing right at the Krig there. Now, this is just a picture I got online. It's a bit limited to the things you can actually do with it. You can't add a fill color over the top of it. Annoyingly, if you get a white one, the best you can maybe do is change it to blue or green or something like that. But just keep trying. I'm sure if you search the color for that, the color of the arrow you're looking for, you'll be able to find one that you can paste in. But from there, it's then just on you to have a little mess around. Just move things around, make sure everything is nice and clear. Just sort of have a little resize of things, and just make sure everything's looking sort of how nice and how it should. So this is a pretty simple thumbnail, really not anything special, and there isn't really many great ideas in terms of what you can do for a thumbnail with a weapon, but this is more just to show you the ideas and the things that I like to actually add to the thumbnails, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea how to make them for yourself. As I said, this isn't amazing, and some of my other thumbnails, when I've got a little bit better ideas of how I want to make them, they turn out a little bit better, but these are all the effects and sort of how to achieve the things that I think make thumbnails actually look quite good, even though, yeah, they're made on PowerPoint and they're not made by anyone professional. And then all that's left to do is head over to File and Save As, export it as a JPEG or a PNG, and that way you can upload it to your YouTube channel and, yeah, make your videos look just a little bit nicer. But that is about it for today's video. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it helpful. Be sure to drop a like if you did, and yeah, hopefully back to the Call of Duty and esports videos very soon. But thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.